Video number 92, mediumship is passive. That's the subject of today's video. As always, like it, please comment on it below, click the subscribe button. All those things help other people to see these videos. So when I say that mediumship is passive, I really mean that. The trick to it, if you want to know, is to relax yourself out of the way and allow mediumship to happen. Don't try to make it happen. Never be insistent or demanding with people in spirit. That doesn't work for me. I know several people who say, I don't think they've made deals, but they make it sound that way, where they're like, well, whenever they give me red roses, that means this, or rocks mean that, or whatever. I've tried setting up stuff like that with them. It's never worked. I've just had to notice over numerous readings what different things mean for me. So the trick, so it's a little tricky. The trick for me is trying to balance between trying for certain information, especially if you're doing an exercise like with numbers or dates or names, between trying for something and allowing it to happen, right? That's really the trick, balancing those two things. So, and it's really easy to get in your head when you're specifically trying for something, and you shouldn't try to do mediumship. You have to allow mediumship, right? So keep this in mind. If you're taking any kind of class from anyone and there's exercises, allow it, just let it happen. So a good way to get out of your head, I've said this in another video, is if you haven't gotten the person in spirit's name, which is not unusual, you will know your client's name. You could even use your own name. But if I were your client or your sitter, just take each letter of my name. So Lawrence, Lawrence, and you just let something pop into your head for each letter. So you might say, oh, so if you're reading me, you might get someone and say L in your head, not to the client. Keep it in your own head, private, what you're doing. L, this person did not like laughing. And A, angry, this person was angry a lot. W, whatever, R, whatever. That's a great way to get out of your head. And it's amazing how it really gets a reading going if it's not going well. It's amazing how specific the information that comes through, because it helps you just, like, whatever pops into your head about each letter, say it and see how that works. And also, so I've said, if you do this, the way you expect air to be there, just expect people in spirit to be there. And also, and so that's a little bit too, I'm playing with expectation, right? Because when I make a connection, I expect to know their gender. I expect to know their age, if they're young or old at the least. I expect to know if it was an abrupt passing or if they lingered, if it took a while. So why not expect other information? Why not expect their career or their street address or whatever, right? There's expectation matters. And I don't know how to explain that, but it does. If you're in a reading, even if it's just practice with someone's always going to be there. And because there aren't that many people who take the time, people in the body, who take the time to develop this skill of mediumship. It is a skill, it's not a gift, it's not a magical power. And I encourage you, even if you're in just a practice session, don't think of it that way, because if you're making a communication, even if it's just an iffy one because you're new, the person in spirit still gets to communicate, and that's important to them, right? So always keep that in mind, that it's not about you and how well you're doing, it's about how well you're conveying the information. You're just the pipe, you're just the means of communication. So again, you want to relax, and physically relaxing your body helps a lot. Just stay, make sure you're loose and stay relaxed. Something that will throws everybody, and something that can make you tense up is getting a no. And so the thing I want to say a couple things about no's. First of all, if you sit down, you've got a connection, and the person in front of you is saying no, 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 that always means that they want a specific person, and you're not connected with their specific person. So just name that and talk to them about it and say, is there a particular person you want to hear from? They'll always say yes if they've been saying no, 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 no. And remind them that anyone can come through. A neighbor they had when they were 8, a high school teacher, if they knew them well enough, anybody they knew can come through. For me, often what happens is I'll get that more obscure connection, and then the person they really want to hear from sort of piggybacks onto it, but it gets the communication going. And remember, again, that person, if it's a client and not someone you're practicing with, that person is in grief. And so you want to be patient with their no, 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 because they're hurting and they really want like one person. That's not uncommon at all. And if it's not, and so if you finish a reading for an actual client and it's not the person they wanted, but you did get a recognizable person, you are still demonstrating that consciousness continues. You are still demonstrating that their loved one continues, even if you didn't get that loved one. So you got to keep that in mind and not be disappointed. That this happens at all, to me, is still amazing. I think it's really cool. And I encourage you not to lose sight of that. Really good examples of not, so you shouldn't let no's throw you, because you will get no's. I mean, you will get some stuff wrong. It's not 100%. I have two good examples of how you shouldn't let no throw you, because I said no to people very recently. Mediums were practicing on me. This woman got someone I lived with a long time ago, and where we lived, she said, it's a V, like the road splits into a V where this house is, or where this person lived. I'm like, oh, that's where we lived. I know exactly what that is. But she kept saying, do you understand 12 and 5? Which I was trying to take for like December or the 5th of the month. And it came up a few times. And I said, I don't understand 12 and 5, but everything else you're saying, I understand. So I was so impressed with the V in the street. I went to Google Maps, like Google Street View, and I took a screenshot to show her, here's my house right at the bottom of this V, like at the bottom of a hill. And as I was taking the shot, I realized that the address of that house was 125 street name, right? And she kept getting 12 and 5. And I said, no, 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 through the whole thing. So, and I was wrong. So that's a great example, not to let no's throw you, even if it's another medium giving it to you. And the other really good example recently is someone I was closely related to in life. And she kept hearing the song Fools Rush In. And I didn't understand that at all for the person she was connected with, but everything else was spot on, right? So she sent me a note afterward, and she said, just keep this in your back pocket, because it wasn't going out of my head. And she had run together as one word, rush and in. So it said, and I'm like, Russian. That was the name, the person she had, his grandmother, who he was really close to. Her name was Florence Russian, not Fools Rush In, but Florence Russian. So that's how it was a sound-alike thing that she was getting. To which I said, no, 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 until I saw Rush In written as one word, Russian, and went, oh, family name. So it made sense to me after the fact, but I had said no to her over and over again. So you can't let no's throw you. You will get some things wrong. It's not translating, it's interpreting, right? And I'll just point out, TV mediums are edited. They get at least as many no's as we do, and as your student or beginner person does, but those are edited out. So mediumship is passive. Relax. You literally want to relax your body as much as possible. Stay relaxed and try to be aware in your day-to-day life when and where you're tensing up, so that you are aware when you're tensing up in a reading, because that does help cut things off. So I've been trying to be aware of that in my day-to-day life. Like when I get tense, especially if I'm in a spreadsheet for a long time, my shoulders start to tense up, and I'm like, okay, relax. And I've caught myself doing that in readings, and it's really helped to just relax your body. Next, so this is the last video of this year, 2022. I think next year, if I continue to do these videos, they will be on a monthly basis rather than a weekly basis. I did a few weeks ago, I posted that video of the DEM that I did in front of James von Prague, and my calendar is filled. That seemed to get a lot of people, but it also may be this time of year that people are reaching out to me for readings. So I don't know, but I suspect I'm going to go to a monthly only instead of a weekly only. And I don't know what I'm going to do next year. So I have no subject for next week's video, next year's video, January's video. So until then, Happy New Year. I hope this year was at least good, and I hope next year is way better for you. Thank you for watching this video and all these videos. As always, like it, click the subscribe button, comment below. See you next year. Thank you so much.